Hello and welcome back to CustomF1, the alternate reality, the world's greatest form of motorsport, where we take my own creator team from lowly backmarkers to championship glory. Today we have round 2 of the 1995 season. It's the Argentine Grand Prix. Let's take a look at the news. The headline news story revolves around Ferrari, who have really struggled throughout pre-season and during the opening race, picking up 0 points. Their pace over one lap has looked relatively strong, but they are clearly behind McLaren, Williams and Benetton. LaRousse brought a B-Spec 1994 car into this season in the hopes of saving costs whilst still delivering on track, and they narrowly missed out on qualifying for the opening round of the season. 40, the only new team on the grid this season, are clearly far off the pace with little budget to develop their car. Will we even see 40 take to the starting grid this season? And finally, a happy story. Brundle's podium in Brazil was his second podium in as many races, as he closed off the previous campaign with a third place at the 1994 Australian Grand Prix. McLaren have stated, Brundle getting that podium confirmed exactly why we wanted to keep him on another year. Starting off where we finished is a huge morale booster for the team. Make sure to share the video around and give it a like if you do enjoy it. Let's see if we can get a few more people interested in Custom F1. Right, now that's all for the news. Let's get right into qualifying for the Argentine Grand Prix. And here we are in qualifying for the second round of the 1995 season. We're in Argentina for the Argentine Grand Prix. Originally planned to be on the season in 1994, there was issues around the circuit regarding the hosting of the actual Grand Prix, and thus we host it for the first time for many years in 1995 with a revised layout from what you might be used to if you've watched the Argentine Grand Prix back in the 1980s. I think it was the last time they hosted the Grand Prix. But here we are, riding on board with Mika Salo in the Streamline engineering machine, just like we always are, and he's on his fastest qualifying lap. Currently, no driver setting a lap time in qualifying. It's really early on in the session, and Mika Salo's fastest lap coming early on in the qualifying session. Last time out, should I say, at the Brazilian Grand Prix, Salo did absolutely brilliantly, picking up his first ever points and Streamline Engineering's first ever points with a 6th place finish. It was a hard fought battle for that 6th place, and after I'd say relatively successful campaign last time in 1994 with an underpowered car, to start 1995 with points is absolutely brilliant for the Streamline team, and they'll be hoping to build on that success starting here today in Argentina, as into the final corner, at least the final braking zone, there's still going to be that left kink onto the main straight for the final corner as Gianni Morbidelli's on provisional pole at the moment, but that's not going to last long, as here comes Mika Salo down towards the line. It's going to be a 1:32.278. It's first at the moment. He won't stay there, but let's see where he is on the starting grid. And here are the qualifying results for the Argentine Grand Prix. Ayrton Senna in the Williams. The Williams finally coming good, and he qualifies in first place ahead of race 1 winner Michael Schumacher. David Coulthard in the second, Benetton in third. The McLarens are down in 4th and 6th. Hakkinen ahead of Brundle, and sandwiched in between is the second Williams of Damon Hill. The lead Ferrari of John Alesi down in 7th place. And then there's the Jordan of Barrichello, followed by another Ferrari and Jordan, Berger and Irvine, rounding out the top 10. On to the next 10 on the grid, Kaya Mahendra, who scored points, his first ever points in Formula 1 in Brazil. Qualifies in 11th, ahead of the Ligier of Olivier Panis, the second Sauber of Frentzen down in 13th. Then we have Salo, who's out-qualified his teammate Reith. Salo starts 14th, Ralf Schumacher once again impressing in the footwork in 15th. The aforementioned Reith in 16th place, with Morbidelli in 17th, Bernard in the second, Ligier down in 18th place, and then it's an all Tyrrell 10th row of the grid, Katayama and Verstappen. On to the final 10 in the qualifying results. It's the lead Lotus of Mark Blundell in 21st, Fisichella in 22nd in the Minardi, followed by the second Lotus of Zanardi and the second Minardi of Martini. The two Simtex just getting onto the grid once again. Ratzenberger in 25th and Jean-Marc Gounon in 26th place, and that means it's the same 4 drivers as of the first race in Brazil, who get knocked out in qualifying, the 2 LaRouche drivers of Herbert and Noda, and then the 40 drivers in 29th and 30th of Sospiri and Rosset. Now a quick look at the track info. It's the Autodromo Oscar Alfredo Galvez, located near Buenos Aires in Argentina. The track length just over 4 kilometers, and we have 72 laps ahead of us, so it is quite a few revolutions of the circuit. The weather is dry, so there is no wet weather predicted, and the action zones, the 3 main ones: down into turn 1, a heavy braking zone into a right-hander; turn 8, which is a heavy braking zone into a right-hander; and turn 16, a heavy braking zone into a right-hander. The difficulty of the track overall for the drivers driving it, it's a moderately difficult track, and overtaking is quite difficult as the straights are short and the speed is a moderate level. Now, the Streamline engineering driver strategies: Mika Salo, the lead driver, starting in 14th place, going for a 2-stop strategy, pitting on lap 24 and 48. Zombarith also going for a 2-stop strategy, pitting lap 23 and 46. Now, there's only one more thing to do, and that's go racing. The 1995 Argentine Grand Prix is next. So a disastrous first lap there for Mika Salo. I think it was John Alesi with suspension failure, which led to his teammate Gerhard Berger slowing down. Mika Salo could not slow down quick enough, went straight into the back of the 2 Ferraris, wiping them out the race and wiping Mika Salo's own front wing off. So Salo coming into the pits now on the end of the first lap. He's going to lose a whole host of positions, and I'm sure he's got suspension damage that cannot be repaired into the pits. So he's going to have to manage for the rest of the race with terrible suspension damage, and even worse, he can't even find his own pit crew. He's managed to find it in the end, but he's going to fall all the way down to the back of the order, at least back of the running order, as already the 2 Ferraris are out of the race. And that means the Ferraris, well, as a team, has gone the first 2 races without scoring a single point in this 1995 season. So it's not looking good in their battle to at least retain 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship, as Salo rejoins down in 20th place, ahead of Katayama, who must have lost some sort of bodywork in that first lap melee, who's behind in the Tyrrell. The footwork of Morbidelli is 23 seconds up the road, and that's what Salo has to work on cutting down. And here is the start from the leader's perspective. Senna from the pole, getting away well, and leads his arch rival Michael Schumacher down towards the first corner. Schumacher has the inside line, but Senna closes that overtaking opportunity off, and they exit the first corner with Senna very much in the lead of this Grand Prix. He had a terrible start to the season last time out in Brazil, and he's looking to make amends here and get his campaign of defending his World Championship off to a start. So this is the replay you've all been waiting for. What happened to the Ferraris? Alesi suffered suspension failure, slowed down, backed up Eddie Irvine and Gerhard Berger. Mika Salo could not slow down fast enough, ploughed straight into the back of Berger, causing mass damage and wiping 3 drivers out of the race on the spot. And another retirement on the opening lap is Mika Häkkinen. Again, engine failure. Sees him stop on track, and his teammate Martin Brundle collects him. And there's damage there for Damon Hill. Damon Hill has lost the front wing. So that's terrible for the Williams team. All the other drivers managing to remain unharmed going past the stricken McLaren. There's definitely quite a bit of suspension damage. The car feeling a little bit twitchy heading into the corners, and that's going to escalate right here. It's lap 4, turn 1, losing the car. Salo, round he goes, and he's going to lose that position to Katayama, and possibly another position there to, it says Bouillon. For some reason, I don't know why it says that. It is Ratzenberger. I triple checked to make sure. I have no idea why it says Bouillon in the top left corner. There is absolutely no reference to him whatsoever in any of the files. I don't know where it's coming from, but it is Ratzenberger, I assure you. And now we're behind those, and Fisichella, who was also into the pits as well. All these drivers around us were into the pits on the end of the first lap with damage. We're down to 22nd place. Lap 7, and it's yet another spin for Salo into the first corner. Just seems to be locking the brakes, under braking as he turns in. He's not going to lose the position to Fisichella, but he's definitely lost quite a chunk of time. 10 laps into this Grand Prix, Senna leads Schumacher, Coulthard in 3rd place. We've got the two McLarens of Häkkinen and Brundle in 4th and 5th. And the second Williams of Damon Hill down in 6th. So it's the kind of usual top 6 that you'd imagine. Olivier Panis right now doing pretty well with his teammate Bernard behind him in 10th. So 9th and 10th for the Ligiers as it stands. Kaya Mahendra, who scored points in Brazil, is on course for another good result as he's up in 8th place. And Rubens Barrichello in the Jordan is doing quite well indeed. Zomba Reith, the lead Streamline, down in 11th place right now. And now we're on lap 20. Senna still leads Schumacher. Brundle now up in 3rd place with his teammate retiring from the race. And Damon Hill also suffering, down in 14th place right now. Also having incidents. Zomba Reith into the top 10. Ralf Schumacher up into the top 10 for footwork. Ralf Schumacher has gone under the radar this season so far. I know we're already only 2 races in, but he's had a fantastic start to his Formula 1 career. Olivier Panis right now actually up into the points. Senna into the pits on lap 21, and that means Michael Schumacher is going to take the race lead. He was only a few seconds behind Senna during that whole stint, which may indicate he's also on a 2-stop. Senna pitting on lap 21 is clearly on a 2-stop strategy, but if Schumacher stays out for a number of laps, he might actually be on a 1-stop strategy. And Damon Hill is in 2nd place, then Martin Brundle 3rd. Senna's rejoined behind Barrichello and Mahendra in the Sauber. It's lap 22. I'm pitting in a few laps, but we've caught up to the back of the Simtek of Roland Ratzenberger. This will be for 20th place. We're moving into the top 20 with a move on the driver ahead. The Austrian defending quite bravely though, and with our limited top speed due to the suspension damage, I'm going to have to go for some sort of late move, which is exactly what we do into the last corner here, up the inside. Controlled dive bomb, you could call it, into 20th place. Katayama though, 26 seconds up the road. Lap 25, we're going to come in for our 2nd stop. Technically our first scheduled stop, as that pit stop on lap 1 doesn't really count, but we're back on strategy, kind of our original strategy of pitting lap 24, 48. We're pitting on lap 25, so we'll go up to lap 49 before pitting for our 3rd and hopefully final time in this race. So we get the car slowed down coming into the pits, making sure to not exceed the speed limit. This time it's much easier to find our pit box because there's less crew in the actual pit lane. There's a crew down there who looks familiar. It doesn't quite look like Ferrari, but kind of similar. I don't think that is Ferrari. No, it's not. It's footwork maybe? Anyway, we're going to rejoin down to 22nd place, which is last of the running order, as loads of those other drivers who suffered damage on the first lap would definitely have filled up on a lot more fuel than we did, as we got blue flags and we've been crashed into. We've been crashed into there. I think it's Olivier Panis. And there's Ralf Schumacher into us as well. Massive, massive crash into the first corner. I don't know what was going on there. I had blue flags, but they just crashed straight into the back of me. I'm not sure how that happened. This is what happened with Ralf Schumacher. Just turned the corner, a bit unsighted, went straight into me. That might be a rookie mistake from the footwork driver. And whilst Panis was making his way back to the pits, he gets collected by his teammate Eric Bernard, and both Ligiers out of the race. That's a big crash there. I think it's brake failure as well for Bernard, terrible. We are approaching half race distance in this one. It's lap 30. And Schumacher now leads Senna after Senna's pit stop. Coulthard still holding his station in third, with Brundle in fourth. Barrichello really, really good so far in fifth place. And Kyle Mahendra once again into the points. He scored points, as I said, in Brazil, and now he's in the points yet again. And Jos Verstappen in the Tyrrell is actually in seventh place. I don't think he's pit yet, so I think he's pitting pretty soon. He might be on a one-stop strategy as well, as I think he's staying out for another lap at least. But he's got Damon Hill, who's had an incident earlier on in the race. Damon Hill right behind him, challenging him for seventh place. Morbidelli the only footwork left in the race at the moment as we're approaching half race distance, but he's slowing down and he's spun off. So both footworks out of the race before half race distance. Morbidelli retiring from the Argentine Grand Prix. Schumacher pitting on lap 33, which indicates he is on a one-stop strategy as we thought, and he's rejoining the track then. And who's that going through? It's Ayrton Senna. So Senna back into the lead of the race, but only just. But Senna, of course, has to pit one more time. As Coulthard looks up the inside of Senna but can't make the move on turn 8, and he's slowing down on the exit. Coulthard's out now. The Benetton of Coulthard is out of the race. This is where Hakkinen retired from the race as well, and that's another retirement involving one of the drivers from the top teams. And it's devastating for Brundle and McLaren as Martin Brundle pulling into the pits to retire his car from the race. That's a double retirement for McLaren after Brundle's brilliant second place finish at the opening race of the season. Zombarith doing really well. He's up in 6th place. Damon Hill has made his recovery after having an incident earlier on. I think he fell down to about 14th, 15th place. He's made his way back up into the top 5. But Zombarith really impressively in 6th place right now. Let's hope he has the fortune of good luck today and doesn't retire from the race due to mechanical issues. Senna back in the lead ahead of Schumacher, Barrichello in a podium place, and Kyle Mahendra is absolutely amazing from the Sauber driver, up in 4th place. And on lap 48, Senna is in for his second and final scheduled stop, and he relinquishes the lead to the German of Michael Schumacher, who has already won one race this season. He's got a 100% win record. He's trying to make it 2 in 2. And there's Senna stationed. There's actually Barrichello right behind him as well. Barrichello, that's 4th position as well. So Barrichello only about maybe 6 or 7 seconds behind the Williams of Ayrton Senna. Barrichello doing a really good job in this race so far. We've got 2 Brazilians inside the top 3. Just over 20 laps to go in this one. And Michael Schumacher is in a commanding lead right now. Senna in a distant second. Rubens Barrichello makes it 2 Brazilians in the top 3 as it stands. Kyle Mahendra still holding station in 4th place. Reith still in the points. Mark Blundell, who we're looking at right now in the Lotus, who's coming into the pits then. So Blundell pits from 7th place. He's going to relinquish that 7th place and fall down towards maybe 10th or 11th place, I believe. His teammate Zanardi down in 12th place right now. So Blundell having a much better race than his teammate as it stands. Into the final few laps of this one. Kyle Mahendra still in 4th place. He just needs that Sauber reliability to hold him station in that position, and he'll score yet again more points. In Zombarith, the same situation for him. Jos Verstappen and Mark Blundell, the Tyrrell and the Lotus just outside the points right now. And there's a Minardi in the top 10 as well. Pierluigi Martini down in 10th place. A Simtek of Jean-Marc Gounon in 11th. So anybody could capitalise on a few more retirements and score some points today. Talking about retirements, Giancarlo Fisichella pulls off at the final corner. There he is. An engine failure, and I think, is that Mahendra running into the back of him? Mahendra runs into the back. Schumacher manages to dodge him. And where's Senna? That's what we're looking for. Senna, who should be in 2nd place right now. There he is. Ayrton Senna's lost his front wing. Senna's lost his front wing in that. Oh no, disaster for the Williams team. He's certainly going to lose a few positions, and he has to go all the way around the track before pitting. Well, this race is certainly not short of incidents, and here's another one. Engine failure for Jean-Marc Gounon, who was on for maybe a 10th place in this Grand Prix, but that's been stripped away from him now. The Simtek driver is out. Verstappen on course to score no points, but 7th place finish will be really good for the Tyrrell driver. Under pressure from Blundell behind, and this is the final lap, so he's only got 4 corners to go. Entering the braking zone, he's not slowing down, he's straight into the wall. That's a big crash, a big incident there from Verstappen. I hope he's okay. That was a massive impact. And with his closest rivals faltering, Michael Schumacher is going to cross the line to win the Argentine Grand Prix as he's going around the final corner now. And there's Rubens Barrichello closing him down. Barrichello really getting quite close. That is 4th position as well, but he just can't do it in time. Schumacher across the line to win the 1995 Argentine Grand Prix, and he makes it back-to-back victories to start his 1995 season. And here we have the results of the Argentine Grand Prix, with Michael Schumacher winning in the end, with Rubens Barrichello closing him down during the final few laps as Schumacher struggled to get past the back markers. Barrichello, if he had a couple more laps, may have actually won that race. Kaya Mahendra, a fantastic podium. It's a fantastic podium for Barrichello as well. 2 new podium place finishers from this race. Damon Hill and Ayrton Senna, the 2 Williams, struggling throughout the race. They both had incidents which meant they finished down in 4th and 5th. And Zomba Reith for the other Streamline. We have Mika Salo scoring points for Streamline in Brazil. Zomba Reith has scored his first ever points in Formula 1 and only finished 44 seconds off the lead. A brilliant P6. Lotus once again just missing out. They finished 7th and 9th in this race. Heinz-Harald Frentzen not picking up points yet, as his teammate Mahendra has scored points in the opening 2 races, and Katayama in the Tyrrell rounds out the top 10. And there was only 10 finishers in this race, a really high level of attrition due to quite a few incidents, like actual crashes, collisions as they're marked here. These include Verstappen, Gunon, Martini, Ratzenberger, Fisichella, Brundle in the McLaren down in 16th, Coulthard in the second, Benetton is 17th, Morbidelli in 18th. The 2 Ligiers once again not scoring any good results. And the final classified drivers, Ralf Schumacher, Mika Salo, they were involved in that incident together in the first corner. Mika Hakkinen has a terrible start to the season after showing so much promise at the start of the Brazilian Grand Prix. And talking about bad starts, Ferrari, Berger and Alesi out on the first lap of the race, and Eddie Irvine involved in that collision as well. Damon Hill picking up the fastest lap for Williams. Now, what does this result mean for the drivers' standings? Well, it means that Michael Schumacher has a commanding lead, already 14 points ahead of second place man Martin Brundle, who only scored points in the first race. Rubens Barrichello picked up a 2nd place today, means he's in 3rd place in the championship. Damon Hill has scored in both races so far this season, but not too many points. He's down in 4th place, and Kaya Mahendra is also tied there for 2nd place, but he's classified as 5th on the standings. The rest of the standings are as you would imagine, with all the drivers on these not scoring points, and most of them not even finishing races as of yet. The Teams Championship is very lopsided as well, with Benetton already 16 points ahead of their nearest challenger, which is Williams, surprisingly. Ferrari all the way down in 9th place, and Streamline impressively up in 6th. Only 6 teams have scored points so far this season, but I feel like we're on course for many more teams to score points this year. Compared to last season, I think only 8 teams, maybe 9, I think 8 or 7, scored points last season, so we're almost matching that already. And a quick look at the team update. The morale is looking solid for the drivers. A note on the morale is if it's less than 60, that means we cannot renegotiate with that driver. There might be some special circumstances where that's different. In the case of Zomba Reith, because he's loaned from Ferrari, that might be different. But the general rule is if it's less than 60, they cannot renegotiate. The team finances, once again, looking great. We're gaining some money. That's still nothing compared to the big teams, you know, Ferrari, McLaren, Williams, Benetton, they'll all be in the millions. But 158,000 right now looks pretty good. The next race is the San Marino Grand Prix, and I cannot wait. And that will be out next week. Because they're going to be weekly episodes. If you have enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, share it around. Let's see how many people we can get interested in Custom F1. The first video did so well, so I'm so thankful for that, guys. Thank you very much. And that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.